Alright, trying something different this year. The previous video will be the introduction for the week, quick summary of what's taken place recently, and then what I intend on doing today. So, not as long as an intro for each hive, because it does become kind of repetitive saying the same date, same weather, stats and everything. That was nice to see, bringing in some pollen. See if we can catch another one. Definitely have to trim these bushes back some. They do produce a pretty nice flower, but I don't really typically see too many bees on it. So hey, this is hive number 1. This is going to be the first inspection for 2021. It has been roughly 6.5 months since I've been in this hive at all, and we're about to see how they're doing. This is going to be a full hive inspection. Try to keep the video as short as possible, but I am fairly detail orientated and I like to share my full content and inspection videos. Let's check out hive number 1. I have not opened this at all, so let's listen and see what 6 months worth of propolis sounds like. That was kind of disappointing, to be honest with you. Let's see, we got some ants, and that's kind of interesting. It looks like, see if I can show you, looks like some wax moths got into the underside of the telescoping lid. I'll have to find some space. Alright, check it out. Have not disturbed this hive in 6 months, and the bees are starting to creep up and try and figure out what's going on. Do some spring cleaning. I'm actually going to slide this hive over just a little so I can balance the telescoping cover on the side here. Alright, let's see. Make sure the camera's angled down enough. I believe you can see that. This is a habit I developed last year, checking the inside of the cover for the queen. Definitely more ants than usual, but oh yeah. Yeah, well, we'll get into it. Let's see what's going on. I might start running this bottom box as an 8 frame just to give myself more space, because it is incredibly tight with the 1 gallon division board feeder. I really don't think it's worth having it so tight that I have to really force the frames into the hive like this. So yeah, I said it in this past week's inspection video, or when I was out here cleaning up some of the dead outs, but yeah, I don't really starting to think it's not worth running a 9 frame with the 1 gallon, even though it fits. It's just, like I said, incredibly difficult to get the frames out. Well, that's a nice frame. Not much going on at all. Kind of the expectation on the outer frames. This frame's practically brand new. They just haven't done anything with it. I know for a fact they need sugar water. This thing's bone dry and probably been bone dry for a while. I'm going to keep that in here as a kind of as a placeholder. Plan on making some sugar water later today and giving it to them tomorrow once it cools down and in between some of the weather. So Oh, that's interesting. I usually don't see too many hive beetles at all in my hives, and to see one just crawling around like that, usually a sign that the hives don't have as many bees as they need. These bees are just hanging out on this frame for some reason. There's nothing on there. I'm really curious to see if there's any remnants of the queen cell. I would be hard pressed to imagine there is. I assume they've torn it down by now, but you never know. All right. Oh, we have capped brood, and let me grab my flashlight. I think I can see some, but you know, first inspection of the year. Yeah, we have pupated larvae. If you can see this up here in this section, pupated larvae. Looks like they're bringing in some nectar from somewhere. We've got a few things in bloom. Hey, there's the queen. So yeah, no kidding, they superseded her. And she looks nice. Gonna grab my queen catcher real quick. This thing here works fantastic. She does not seem to be moving too fast. So I should be able to grab her up. It's been a while since I've used this. It's interesting to find her on the same frame that the supersedure cell was on. Alright. It's like a pro. It's almost like I knew what I'm doing. Okay, well, we got her in there. She ain't going anywhere. Let's take a look at this frame a little more closely. I don't see any eggs on it. They do have brood there. I think I really need to clean out this box. Alright, let's get her marked so she can have some time to dry off. And if you don't know, if you haven't watched my previous videos with these paint pens, less is more. Alright, here we go. First, yeah, see that just dripped. First queen marking of the year. And that is all I'm gonna do right there. 3 little dabs. There you can see this other bee's walking all over it. That's it. She is marked. I'll slide the plunger down so she has some space to move around. Let her dry off for a few minutes. And that gives me some time to go through the rest of the frames. I know where the queen's at, so I don't really have to worry about squishing her or anything. There's a nice patch of brood as well. Some bees bringing in pollen. Let's take a look. Even though I know they're queen right and I see capped brood, I'm still curious to take a look and see how much more brood to expect. And yeah, the bottom, if you go kind of like in a semicircle, the bottom here is just packed full of eggs. So this colony should blow up, should have a pretty significant increase in population within the next few weeks. I definitely need to clean out this box a little. The frames are pretty tight where they rest on the side of the box. I think they will do extremely well once I provide them some sugar water, which I intend to soon, tomorrow. Here's a molded frame. I found a few frames that were molded in other hives that died over the winter. Very curious to see what they do with this. So let's do some quick housekeeping. Yeah, that just looks nasty. I'm gonna have to do something with that. I think that got pretty nasty because the side of the box isn't exactly sealed well. Alright, so I'm just gonna move the frames that don't have any bees on them over here. And try to stack the frames that do have bees and brood nicely. I'll show you in a second what I'm looking at down here. So this box really has about 3 frames of bees. Yeah, so check out this mess. That's what we're looking at. I'm gonna clean all that out for them so I don't have to mess with it. Just kind of give them a fresh start, do some spring cleaning here. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, this has just a bunch of propolis wax. It makes the frames difficult to sit flush and really tight. Let's see if I can do this without disrupting too much. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna flip this around. I watched something, I believe it was I can't remember the guy's name right now, but I watched a video that talked about the differences between the hive. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna do that right now. I'll finish that thought here in a second. We talked about the differences between the two sides of the hive. One, obviously, is a lot smaller and acts more so as a kind of like a mouse guard because of how tight the entrance is. It's good enough for the bees, but you don't have to worry about all the other stuff in the fall with putting mouse guards on because the entrance is just that much smaller. Alright, so I'll put the entrance reducer on later. Let's try and get all these frames back in. Try to move some frames around too. So we have three good frames of brood. And I've said this in previous videos, the sun rises in the east, which is this way. And the queen usually favors that side of the hive. I'm not going to checkerboard too much right now, because we do have a few cooler nights, but nothing that would really result in the bees having to cluster too much. So let's do this. Put those there. This frame's nasty. I'll have to replace that later. It's more of a placeholder, really. And then that very last frame doesn't... This frame is what I'm referring to. There's absolutely nothing going on with it. I am going to hang some swarm traps today, so I'm thinking I'm just going to run this as a 9 frame now. They may build out the outer frames a little thicker, but it really doesn't matter. Alright, there's our queen with a white dot for 2021. I'm sure she is very eager to get back into the colony, so let's get her released. There she goes. Still see her. Right there. Alright, she's probably off camera now. Flip around the inner cover entrance, and then instead of pulling back the top entrance, push it forward now, and they can have a top entrance there. All right, there we go. About 20 minutes. That's kind of my average for more thorough inspections. So like I said, that's the first time looking at hive number 1 for 2021. Kind of surprised that they had a supersedure cell that went through the entire process of hatching or merging, hanging out in the hive for a few days, a week, they say, successfully mating that late in the year, returning, and surviving the winter. So that's pretty cool. So I'll keep an eye on them. Now that I know what I'm looking for, I'll provide them some sugar water tomorrow, later today or tomorrow, in between the weather. And it's going to be a thinner sugar water than usual. Instead of a 1-to-1, I'm going to do 1/2 to 1. So for a 1 gallon, what would that be? I don't want to do the math right now, I can't remember. Anyway, I'm going to provide them a thin sugar water to really stimulate the queen to lay more brood. Alright, that does it for now. Longer video than I anticipated, but thanks for watching, everybody. Please subscribe, like the video. If you have any comments, leave them below. I'll try to answer all of them, and check out the rest of the hive inspection videos that we'll be publishing throughout the week. Let's see what the front entrance looks like now. It's usually a little more busy after an inspection, but considering this hive has 3 frames of bees right now, this is basically what I expected. Not too much activity. Alright, that does it for this week. Thanks again for checking out the channel, everybody. I'm happy to be back in the bee yard and inspecting the bees, and happy to have a few hives that survived the winter. See y'all next time. Bonus clip. Hey, last minute thought after moving some boxes around. So this is one of the frames from one of the dead outs that didn't survive the winter. If you check out the previous video about taking a look at the dead outs, it's kind of molded, not as bad as one of these frames in here. So considering the very far frame number 9, the very far frame on the left there has absolutely nothing going on, I'm going to add this into the hive, remove the other one that's just blank, and hopefully that gives the bees, you know, more useful comb to build out on, and it shouldn't be as difficult to do this now that I have space. And actually, so yeah, see, absolutely nothing on that one. So I'm going to add this frame, and honestly the frame next to it as well, because that's just totally blank. So now they have, yeah, they'll have 9 frames of comb. Let me grab another frame real quick. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's got some mold on it, but I fully suspect the bees will clean that up and make use of it. Could be wrong. Been wrong before. We'll see what happens. All right, I feel better now that they have 9 frames of comb to work with. I just wanted to show you all that. I wanted to document it for my sake as well. So over the next month or so, we'll see if the bees really utilize the comb that is from a dead out that has some mold on it. I think they'll clean it up, like I said, but we'll see what happens. All right, actually done with hive number 1 now.